Girls Can Read. Hey guys, my name is Katie and welcome to another video, and in today's video I am going to be doing a review and a book talk on Replica by Lauren Oliver. Now this I actually received for review from the publisher, but it does not affect my opinion of the book whatsoever. But I just want to say a massive thank you to all of the guys for sending this book to me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So this video is going to be split into two parts. The first section is going to be the non-spoilery part for those of you that haven't read this book yet, and then afterwards, and I will let you know when, I'm going to go into the spoilery details of the book, of everything that happened and my thoughts on them, and that is so we can discuss it. And you can also revert back to this video if you want to read the book like with finer points, or if you just don't want to reread the book and you just want to go into what happened, and then you can go into like the sequel and you'll be ready for it by just watching this video. So first of all, I'm going to start with what this actual book is about, for those of you that don't know. So this is a book that is about clones, and we have two main characters. We have Gemma and we have Lyra, and they both tell their story from either side of the book, and in the middle they meet. So this is from both their sides. We have Gemma, who is the human being, and then we have Lyra, who is in Haven, where they make these clones. And so you can read this book in any way that you desire. You don't have to read it a specific way. There isn't a rule for this. The way that I read it was I read Gemma's side first, and then I flipped over and I read Lyra's side. And to be honest, I found that was great. I found that Lyra's side, you're finding more of like the sci-fi side of it, whereas Gemma, she's the human and she's finding it from a human side of it. So it depends if you want to go into the more detailed side, and then you want to go into the sort of easier side, the easier going side. Now both of these characters, they were written really well. They both have different voices, and I thought that was done very well. Like Gemma's got her own voice to the story and Lyra's got her own voice to her story, and I thought that was done really well. She writ it really well. And I was actually thinking when I was halfway through this book, I was like, can Lauren actually do like one whole book from either person's point of view? But to be honest, I think it worked by getting the voice from one side and getting it from the other side. Nothing's really repetitive, like you would think going from Gemma's side to Lyra's side that you'll have like the same thing happening and it'll be boring. But to be honest, there's probably about 2 sentences which are what are vocally spoken, which are in either side. And I just think that this book is a really great story of friendship and bonds and discovering things about yourself, and it's really interesting. I love books about clones as they are. I love it when people actually don't know anything about, or they discover new things about their family that they didn't think they know. I just think that's really interesting. You're going along an adventure with these characters and you're learning with these characters as well, and that's what I really enjoyed about it as well. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved all of the characters. There's number 72 as well, which does get a name at the like end of the book as well, so I'm not going to tell you the name of the book unless like in the spoilery section. But for now, he's number 72 and he is the one that is with Lyra in Haven. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend this book. I think the story is really great. It's really unique and it's different. I can't wait to read the sequel of this, and I just really enjoyed it. There's nothing that I could actually find that I would flaw about it, because I enjoyed it so much. I liked how it was written. It's actually my first ever Lauren Oliver book, so I'm glad I actually started with this one. And I'm so happy that I read it. It was one of my very highly anticipated reads for the autumn, and I'm so glad that I actually picked it up and really enjoyed it. So all in all, guys, I gave this book a 5 out of 5 Kit Kats. I completely recommend it for anybody, especially if you like your science fiction, you like your clones. But to be honest, it does have like a contemporary twist in it, and that is what I liked about it. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Definitely recommend it. So for those of you that haven't read this book yet, I suggest you pick it up and go read it. Go buy it, add it to your wish list, pre-order it. Definitely, you need to read it. Ask for it for Christmas, definitely. I loved it. So goodbye to you guys that haven't read it. I'm now going to go on to the spoilery section. So welcome to those of you that have read this book. I'm now going to go into every part of detail that happened in this book, and I'm going to start from Gemma's side of the story. So we know that Gemma has had things wrong with her in the past. She's bullied and she is called Frankenstein. She has one of her windows smashed in, and then this man follows Gemma. Gemma then goes to Florida with Pete, and there are riots going on at Haven. Gemma then meets Jake, and he says that there are believed experiments going on at Haven. Jake and Gemma then find 2 clones who have escaped from Haven. Gemma then sees one who looks exactly like her dead on the floor. Gemma then discovers stories of missing children from Haven, and Gemma then looks for Rick's picture online and discovers his mugshot to find that he was the man that was following Gemma. We then discover that April's parents in the story are both gay, which was a nice, interesting LGBT twist on the story. Then April and Gemma have this massive argument, which I thought was just pointless. It was just so silly, this argument, but it blew completely out of proportion, and then they went their separate ways. So the gas station guy comes along and he has a gun, so he makes Gemma and Pete drive. So they go to this motel, and this is where Gemma discovers that she is a replica. Then 2 men in suits find Gemma and Pete. So we discover that this gas man, his daughter is actually Lyra. So then they set a distraction fire. One of the suited men says that they are on their side, and then the gas man guy then fires his gun into the air, and then they manage to drive away. Number 72 is then named Selim, and then they are all sleeping in a van. April then finds Gemma and apologises for the argument, and we also discover that Jake got killed, which I was actually really sad, and I was like, no way, he's going to come back in the sequel, but he actually is literally dead. And then Gemma tells April everything. And that pretty much ends Gemma's side to the story, and now we are going to go on to Lyra's side. So first of all, with Lyra, we discover there's this code black alarm, which means that someone has escaped. Lyra then delivers some documents off, however she keeps a file to herself and hides it in her room. Lyra then goes outside to find number 72 is outside, and she discovers that he was the escaped person, but then this big explosion happens. One of Lyra's friends, Cassiopeia, is injured, so they try to save her. The guards then run after Lyra, but then another blast happens, so they see their escape. So they run into the marsh, but they discover that Cass has died. Lyra and 72 then run into Gemma and Jake. They discover things about Haven, but Lyra sees that Gemma's face is exactly the same as Cassiopeia's. So then Jake and Gemma take Lyra and number 72 to April's house. But then Lyra and number 72 escape because they don't trust these two, and they want to go and find a woman called Emily Huang. However, when they find her house and the new person that lives here, they claim that they knew her somehow, but they discovered that she died. So then this person that owns the house, she gets a phone call and she walks off. And then Lyra and number 72 discover that there are these documents and files with pictures behind some picture frames. They manage to get 2 from pictures 1 and 2, but they don't manage to get the one from picture 3. Then Lyra and number 72 escape the house, and they have a look at these documents, and they discover that replicas are taken from dead human kids. So then number 72 and Lyra then decide that they want to go and find Jake, that they are like, maybe he can actually help us. And then number 72 asks for a new name, so then Lyra says, why don't we name you after a constellation like I was? And so he gets the new name Selim, spelled C-A-E-L-U-M. So when they go to Jake's house, they find that the place is trashed, and Lyra suspects that things aren't as what they seem, and then Selim discovers that Jake is actually killed. He was hung, and it looked absolutely gross, and there is like a computer thrown open. And then these people return to the house and they talk about Jake and how he knew too much and that's why he had to die. So obviously these were the people that were responsible for Jake's death. And so Lyra, number 72, decide that they have to escape there and then. But then Jake's phone rings in their pocket, and so Lyra drops the phone on the floor and hides. and then this person sees the phone, but then they're like, oh, it's only his aunt, let's just ignore it, and so they walk off. And then Lyra takes the phone as well as the computer that Jake left behind. But then at the very last minute, when Lyra and number 72 are escaping, they are seen, and so they go outside and these guys are like driving behind them, but they manage to lose them and they manage to get away. So then they call Gemma from Jake's phone, and this is where Gemma tells Lyra that Lyra isn't a replica, that she's actually human and she has a father. So when Selim discovers this information, because he thought he wasn't the only one, he is really reluctant, but then Lyra manages to persuade him and she says, things haven't changed, I am still the same person, just because I'm not a replica doesn't make anything different. And so he sees that light and the bond that they have made, the romance that they have created, you know, it has been relit again, and they end their side of the story by having a sweet kiss. And it's cute actually, like I really liked Lyra and number 72's relationship. I liked how it developed into a cute little romance, how they were both like, I'm not sure if this is what love is, but it seems to be like what love is, and they both admit that they love each other, and it's just cute that they just both feel something for each other. Whether it isn't love, they're just sort of assuming it's love for now, and that's what I like about it. It wasn't like insta love, they escaped together and they discovered they were the same, they had the same thoughts and feelings, and they felt this connection because of it. So obviously when Selim was just like, oh my god, she's not actually a replica, and he felt a bit like dead inside, but then when she made him see the light and be like, look, it doesn't make any difference, I am who I am, we are still the same, like I'm still the same person, we're still the same people, and you know, he was just like, you know what, you're right, like I love you sort of thing. But from Gemma's side, she's got Pete, who is another human being, but obviously Gemma's discovered that she is a replica. So I like the fact that it's kind of twisted in a way, like Gemma is the replica and Lyra is the human, and they both discovered that they aren't actually who they seem, and I just think that is just like, okay, that's interesting. So yeah, I really like enjoyed how it was done, how it was plotted, but it doesn't leave in sort of like a cliffhangery way where you're like, oh my god, I need the next book now to find out the answers. It just sort of leads you in that sort of area where you're like, I would like to know what happens next. There's definitely going to be something that happens next, so I want to know more, and that's just like what I liked about it. But anyway guys, that is the end of the spoilery section. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up if you have, and let me know what you thought about Replica yourself and what rating you gave it. But that's the end of this entire video. Keep smiling, keep reading, and be happy, and I'll see all of you wonderful awesome people in my next video. Bye!